This is Olympic champion Scott Hamilton. Yes, the real Scott Hamilton. And you're listening to the other Scott Hamilton show, where you should be entertained, informed, and maybe even amused. Just don't expect any backflips. I mean, have you seen him skate?
Hey, everybody, welcome. Week 2 of the college football season, man. Upset statements, everything we imagined it would be. And we're going to do a little post-mortem on a few of the higher points and the lower points of the weekend that was. We are going to go over the AP Top 25. We'll take a look at who made the biggest statement over the weekend. There were opportunities for a couple of teams to really make statements about where they should be or where they think they're going this season. And also, we're going to do our By the Numbers game. We got a couple of things that we're going to track throughout the year. And we're going to take a look at that to see how that's progressing and a few other odds and ends. But right now, before we get into business, I want to make sure that, hey, everybody pull up fanstreamsports.com, get the FanStream Sports app. It's available on Apple as well as Android. And also go to the FanStream Sports Facebook page. Give it a like, give it a follow, leave some comments, good, bad, ugly, whatever. Just engage. Because the only way we can get better is if we know what we have to get better at doing. So let's go to fanstreamsports.com, FanStream Sports app, and also the FanStream Sports Facebook page. Before we get into the actual games, though, and to talk about the narrative of the season up to this point and how things are progressing or regressing, depending upon your program, we've got the news that Mel Tucker has been suspended. Mel Tucker, the coach at Michigan State, has been suspended for sexual harassment of a rape survivor and an activist, a woman that he brought in to speak to his team, who does a lot of speaking engagements about sexual assault, things of that nature, sexual harassment, how men should act, how young men should act specifically. Mel Tucker had brought her in to address his team, address his staff, and they had developed a relationship of some sort, got a little haywire. I'll use that word. I don't want to get into the details of the case. Anybody can pull it up out there and read the investigation that resulted in Mel Tucker now being suspended from his post as head coach at Michigan State. It's troubling, to say the least. It's troubling, to say the least. Secondary coach Harlan Barnett, he's going to be the interim coach, but he's going to get some support from former head coach Mark D'Antonio. He's going to step back into the mix and kind of shepherd things going forward. And we've seen that before under different circumstances, of course. But when Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma to go to Southern Cal, in came big game Bob Stoops to help keep the ship going in the right direction. And you see it here and there. Coaches who have stepped aside will take a mentor-like role. Philip Fulmer did it all the time, it seemed like, even when he wasn't asked to at Tennessee. So Mark D'Antonio is going to help Harlan Barnett keep things going there at Michigan State. Mel Tucker, I take the case or the allegations out of the question. Take it out of the conversation right now. Let's just think about Mel Tucker as a coach, because I am not buying Mel Tucker stock. I've never been buying Mel Tucker stock. And I'm going to get to that. Mel Tucker, 20-14 at Michigan State, took over in 2020. He is 20-14. He was 5-7 at Colorado one year, 2019, bolted for the Big Ten, and that's fine. That's fine. That's neither here nor there. Michigan State, by the way, 2-0 right now, going to host number 8 Washington on Saturday. So they got to get their act together pretty quick, make sure they keep staying focused. But Mel Tucker, on November 24th, 2021, Mel Tucker signed a 10-year, $95 million contract. I don't know if he actually signed it, but they agreed upon it. They announced it. They announced the contract. He was 16-14 at the time. But they felt good about the trajectory of the program. They felt good about what Mel Tucker was doing, and they locked him in. There was talk that, is he going to go to LSU? Oh, is he going to go here? Is he going to go there? He's that guy, a young coach. He's only 51 now. And that's when the coaching carousel was really going nuts. You had Lincoln Riley going to Southern Cal. You had Brian Kelly going to LSU. There was all kinds of maneuvering going on. So Michigan State wanted to make sure that they kept Mel Tucker, give him this monster deal. And it also came just 3 weeks, I think, after beating Michigan. Michigan was number 6 in the country at the time. They beat Michigan 37-30. Really good game. That was enough to make them just have this green mist in front of their eyes in East Lansing and lock down Mel Tucker. Finished the season 3-2. And 10-9. 10-9. Nobody talks about this. Mel Tucker is 10-9 since he signed that monster contract that really set the market for coaching salaries. It did. It went a long way towards setting the market. You started seeing all these whopping contracts. You can mention Jimbo all you want in his deal at Texas A&M. Mel Tucker's deal, in my estimation, did more to market correct coaching salaries than anything. And since he agreed to that deal, or they announced that deal, or he actually put pen to paper, November 24th, that's the date that we are given with regards to this contract. It's 10-9. 10-9. And that's with a 2-0 start this year against less than stellar competition. So I have not seen enough there to validate that monster contract. And now we have these troubling accusations coming up. Not really. I mean, it's Title IX investigation. They dug in. They've been investigating this. They being the investigators. I'm not sure exactly which arm is investigating, but they have been looking at this for months, and now it comes out. So it'll be interesting to see, because Michigan State has to make a statement about it. He can't stay as the head coach, I would think. I mean, Michigan State, especially with all the stuff going on with Larry Nassar and so forth in the state of Michigan, I don't see how he keeps his job. I just do not see how he keeps his job. And I'm sure we're going to find out in the very, very near future. So we'll keep an eye on the Mel Tucker situation. AP Top 25's out. And I was an AP Top 25 voter for a long time, and I took that responsibility very seriously. I felt it was a responsibility. AP Top 25, it's the most thankless job in the world once the college football playoff rankings come out. But it sets the perception, especially the preseason rankings, very dangerous. It sets the perception for the entire season, because it is so hard to crack a certain ranking if you're not already ranked. There has not been an unranked, a national champion that was unranked in the preseason since Georgia Tech back in the early 90s. You've got to have the perception. It doesn't matter if you're number 5 or if you're number 25. You've got to be on that list. You've got to be on that list. So I monitor it pretty closely. Interesting things to note from this one. Just some interesting shuffling. First of all, incredible parity for this top 25 ranking. Absolutely nutball. I mean, the top five teams in the AP Top 25, all from a different Power 5 conference. I'm wondering, when's the last time that ever happened? Has it ever happened? Period. I just find that incredible. Georgia number 1, 55 first place votes. Michigan number 2, Florida State 3 first place votes. Texas, we're going to talk about the Horns in a moment, 2 first place votes, and then Southern Cal coming in at 5th. Ohio State, Penn State, Washington, Notre Dame, Alabama. That rounds out the top 10. And speaking of Alabama, Crimson Tide going from 3 to 10. How did that happen? Well, they lost to Texas in Tuscaloosa. First regular season non-conference loss for Alabama since 2007, which, oh, by the way, happened to be King Nick Saban's first season as the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's the first time Alabama has not been in the top 5 since 2015. They were out of the top 5 when they lost to Hugh Freeze and Ole Miss, but did rally to win the SEC in the national championship. But this ain't that team, man. This Alabama team is flawed. It is flawed. And Nick Saban kept telling us he didn't know if they were great. He didn't know if they had that much talent. I mean, we kept thinking it was some kind of Jedi mind trick, some kind of chess match by the master. And actually, he's probably just telling the truth. So we'll monitor that going forward. Colorado up 4 spots to number 18 after beating Nebraska 36-14. Deion does it again. They back up that season opening win at TCU by beating Nebraska in his home debut in Boulder, Colorado. We'll talk a little bit about the Buffs here in a second. Pac-12. The Pac-12, which might not exist by the time you watch this, might not exist by the time I'm finished with it, considering everything going on with all those schools leaving. Only Wazoo and Oregon State left to man the posts, man the shop. 8 of the 12 Pac-12 teams are ranked. Who would have seen that coming? The Pac-12 was 18-0 before Arizona lost to Mississippi State in overtime. 18-0. It's incredible. And they're now 6-3 against Power 5 opponents. Wazoo beat number 19 Wisconsin. It's incredible. incredible upset. So the Pac-12 living its best life, even as it's on life support before they pull the plug. Crazy. Southeastern Conference, the most powerful conference in all the ding-dong land for the better part of the last decade and a half, struggling. We had Utah beating Florida in the season opener. We had FSU beating LSU, especially in the second half, beat them up in the second half. North Carolina beat South Carolina. Miami beat Texas A&M pretty good over the weekend. And then, of course, Texas beating Alabama. It's been a tough road to hoe for the SEC so far. SEC 3-6 versus Power 5 opponents. That's shocking and very surprising. 0-4 against ranked out-of-conference teams. So they're not beating highly ranked teams. It's not exactly what you talk about. And we think about Texas. We think about Texas and coming into the SEC next year. And one of the storylines going into the game at Tuscaloosa, this will be their introduction to SEC football. And we'll find out how ready Texas is to go into the Southeastern Conference with Oklahoma next year. And they're going to learn. And then it's going to be years before they catch up. And Wrong. Texas looks pretty good. Texas coming in at number 4. First time in the top 5 since September 7th, 2010. And they have not finished in the top 5 since 2009. What happened that year? Went to the national championship, the BCS national championship, lost to Alabama, but finished second in the country. So Steve Sarkisian has things trending in the right direction in Austin, and he's got the number one thing that you need, that being a quarterback. Quinn Ewers looked absolutely incredible against Alabama. 349 yards, 3 touchdowns in a hostile environment. Again, Texas will be okay when it makes the transition to the SEC. I was one of the detractors. They're not going to be able to do it. I was wrong. So Texas easily making the biggest statement of the weekend, without question. Texas easily making the biggest statement of the weekend. You can make the argument that Texas A&M made a statement as well, but not a good one. Perhaps their boosters are already trying to figure out when they pull the plug on Jimbo Fisher. Suddenly that monster buyout that dwindles with each passing season that results only in mediocrity might not look as intimidating or as formidable. Keep our eyes on that one. It's time to do our By the Numbers. We got 2 things we do on By the Numbers. I love this. The Travis Hunter snap count. Travis Hunter, the multi-talented defensive back, wide receiver. I don't even know if he should have like his own position, like a special title. Just performing and producing quality and quantity. It's absolutely incredible. Played 152 snaps against TCU. And let's make sure we get this in a shot because, here at the Scott Hamilton Show, we're obviously a high-tech outfit. But Travis Hunter is absolutely – he's everywhere. And he's in the conversation for the Heisman, obviously. And we try to be careful with the September Heisman. And look here, starting multitask. 152 snaps versus TCU, 146 against Nebraska. He's been on the field for 298 snaps already. That is incredible. 298 snaps. And we're only going into week 3. Against TCU, he had 11 receptions for 119 yards. He drew 2 pass interference penalties. That's on the offensive side of the ball and on defense. And this is where he was really known to be especially talented coming out of high school as the number 1 overall recruit in the country a couple years ago. He was only targeted 9 times. You don't throw at him. He only gave up 3 catches for 52 yards, made 4 tackles, 3 pass breakups, had an interception in the red zone. He just does it all. Against Nebraska, 3 catches, 73 yards. Had a pass breakup, 4 tackles. Not eye-popping stats, but again, it's hard to make plays when they don't come around you. When they intentionally go the other way. Here is the other number we're keeping an eye on. Iowa. The Iowa Points Watch. Now, Iowa had 24 points in a win against Utah State. Had 25 against Duke. Is that right? Either way, they have to average 25 points a game for Brian Ferentz to keep his job as the offensive coordinator. Remember, they had that special stipulation put into his contract that said, okay, we're going to give you one more shot. We're going to give you one more shot, but you've got to hit certain metrics or We don't care who your daddy is. We're going to show you the door. And so they put that in. They scored 20. I knew it wasn't 25. They scored 20 against Iowa State. So you see, again, really high tech. Just wipe it off with my finger. And make it a 20. So it's 24. So they're averaging right now 22 points a game. They got to average 25 points a game. It's literally written in his contract to average 25 points a game. They've got 49 total points. They haven't scored 300 on the season. So you can see there, their average now, they have to average 25.5 points a game now, slightly more than his contractual obligation. Good news. They've got Western Michigan coming up. Western Michigan tied for 110th in the nation in scoring defense, giving up 32.5 points a game. So maybe Brian Ferentz will give himself a little bit of a cushion this week. Play a little bit of ahead so that if they only score 18, 19, no points on down the road, he'll be covered. No ranked matchups this week. Scheduling gods are not being too kind to us this week. I'm sure there are going to be some good games, some great games, but no ranked opponent versus ranked opponent. That's not happening. The following week, week 4, is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Scheduling gods did us a solid on that weekend. So, but still, we're going to take a look at everything. We're going to continue to evaluate some teams that have struggled. Clemson Tigers beat up on Charleston Southern over the weekend. How are they doing recovering from that loss at Duke last week, that week 1 loss? We're going to take a look at deeper into the SEC's problems. What are some of the reasons that the Southeastern Conference is struggling against these non-conference opponents, particularly the ranked ones? We also have an interview with Jake Butt we did. Jake's evolving, All-American tight end at Michigan, 2-time All-Big Ten. He's evolving into a media career of his own, doing games on the Big Ten Network. We talked to him about the movement into the broadcast booth. Also get his take on what's going on at Colorado. That's obviously the biggest story in the nation still with regards to the world of college football until this Mel Tucker thing continues to build speed. And also get his take on the biggest story in the Big Ten, again, before the Mel Tucker news really got out. So that interview with Jake Butt is out there. Got a couple other things coming up this week. We're gonna get rolling full steam because once the conference schedule gets here, we've got to pin our ears back and just knock it out. Questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, hit me up on Twitter or X. The DMs are open at Scott H4456. Scott H4456. Feel free to share whatever. What do you want to talk about? Who would you like to see as a guest? What are some of the things that has your attention? What are some of the things that I could do better at? Feel free to let me know. And remember, again, hit the fanstreamsports.com, hit Fanstream Sports mobile app, good for both iPhone and Android. And also go to the Fanstream Sports Facebook page. Do a like, leave a comment, you name it. But I got to go do some more research, and I got a lot of reading to do. Until next time, be safe.